Hey, it's HPG. This is the podcast, Living My Breastless Life, the show where we hear about my journey to heal while battling cancer, being a wife, a toddler mom. We're going to cover all things real life. We learn what it really means to heal, no matter what we go through. In Season 1, you will hear some of my story, along with episodes featuring my occasional co-host, Martha, and some badass guests. There will be humor, life hacks, tips and tricks, and further proof that truth can be stranger than fiction. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the weekend after my mammogram and some events around life that were possibly foreshadowing. I have Martha, my occasional co-host.
Hey.
So, as you know, I almost didn't go to my mammogram. It was on a Friday afternoon. I was at work. I was busy. Friday in my field, typically pretty hectic. And it was at exactly 4:20 in the afternoon. And in the city that we live in, there's a lot of traffic. So there was a lot of do I really want to go? I'll cancel it. I'll reschedule it.
It's not on the way home.
It is not on the way home.
Worst timing.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think the timing through the appointment. But I think that it's really interesting that how we think we're too busy to do this. That's really important. But then if you don't do it, if you thought you were busy before, you're really, really busy if you delay it, basically. So I guess the moral of that is you should not be too busy to go get a mammogram. But I'm glad that I went. And then that weekend, I went on a Friday, and that weekend, would you say it was a random weekend, Martha, or a normal weekend?
It was summertime, the week before my 40th birthday, so I was getting excited about that, I guess, and we were planning a trip and stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly a slow one, you know?
Yeah. I think what's interesting about that weekend is that I had my hair dyed bright pink professionally. And I had never had that bold of a hair color before. I think I'd always possibly worried about what people might think, or is that if it's not blonde, I mean, what is life? I'm not a natural blonde, and I don't think I have been. So I don't know if I ever have been, actually. Maybe, I don't know. But it seems sometimes when I'm not blonde, I have such a strong reaction from people that I know.
Yeah.
Really strong. You did what? Almost I'd committed a crime.
I've definitely heard it. And, you're a person who likes to change her hair.
Mm-hmm.
You get bored, you get mad at a ducktail, and you gotta go do the whole thing. But
for a context, ducktail is when you grow your hair out and it gets to that point in the back of your neck where it flips out and you can't put it in a ponytail. You can't do anything with it, and it really irritates the back of your neck, and it's the awkward grow out phase of a short haircut.
But I think your bright pink hair was you had been for probably 9 months, maybe that year, I guess 6 months. You had been really starting to say, forget those people that want me to be blonde, or whatever goes along with that, not just being blonde, but you were kind of doing new things that you were interested in, even though they weren't your normal.
Mm-hmm.
And you had talked a lot about blue hair or maybe purple hair, I feel like, but you came home with some bright ass pink hair.
It was really bright. I have to say, it was, even for me, it was like a person who loves change and self-expression. It was really bright pink. Also that day, speaking of like going to the hairdresser, we adopted a cat sight unseen.
Yeah.
By we, I mean me.
Yeah.
And
the we that is you and Piper, which means you, have been on a campaign for a cat. And
yes,
that's in quotation marks, air quotes, for quite a while. I'm not a cat person, but if Heather's gonna have something, it's just gonna show up one day, and this was the day that Charlie showed up.
Yeah, I tried subtlety, but that didn't work. So, I went and adopted him, came back, and I guess, that's just like a random detail of the weekend, like new hair, new cat. I didn't think about the mammogram very much at all. We blew up a pool, put it in the front yard. Well, in the driveway.
It's like it's halfway fancy blow up baby pool. But we don't live in a baby pool in the driveway, street side type of neighborhood. We live in a townhouse, and the frickin' HOA that'll get you for leaving your trash out too long, and a backyard neighbor who is the dog poop police.
Oh, he really is.
Yeah, big time. We can talk about him another time.
That's a whole nother
whole thing.
That might be a diagnosis or something.
Yeah,
but I can't
absolutely. We're not licensed to diagnose people, but somebody can. I've got ideas. Anyway,
but our neighborhood's not fancy. That's what I don't understand. Like, it kind of goes along with, like, you have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Kind of goes along with the boo thing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing. You got to look a certain way. If you change that, then, like, you're putting yourself out there for some judgment. Kind of like living in a not so fancy house with this ridiculous HOA and all these rules.
Yeah. Like, it's not fancy at all, but it's just uptight.
But yeah, that's one way to put it. And there's just a lot of rules. So we were breaking the rules. We were rednecking the place up.
Mm-hmm.
With the blow-up pool in the driveway with our daughter. And the water was really cold. Also, random detail, it wasn't very comfortable, I guess is my point. And when we were sitting in the pool, I remember looking at you saying, like, what if we sold our house and lived in an RV?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about that?
I don't think I took it too seriously. Although, in the meantime, I've thought a lot about us living in an RV.
I think it's interesting that you didn't take it serious from a lady with bright pink hair that just adopted a cat out of nowhere. But that's kind of like not, I would say that is far more common than me saying, like, let's willingly have instability in a car that we live in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if you've brought it up on this podcast yet, but you're an Enneagram 6.
I'm an indoor cat as well.
Yeah. And
hence we were in the driveway in the blow-up pool.
Yes.
But where we live, we don't have a lot of community pools. But even if we did, I wouldn't go. So I think the RV, like, said, like, why don't we do this? It's just really abnormal for me.
Yeah. Well, I know that we've never spent any time in a cabin, let alone an RV. Or
we've stayed in a cabin.
When? Well, when we got married, we did stay in a cabin. But
we've been in a cabin.
I think you slept in a tent once
once in
ever.
my life. And I was in college. I'll just leave that there.
And
I'd spent one night in a tent. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I can't live like that.
so anyway, I think I didn't take you very seriously on the RV thing, but looking back on it, it's like this change was in the air that was like something is going to be drastically different.
Yeah. We talked about the RV in detail, if I remember correctly. And like if I could live with X amount of things that would fit in the RV.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like, you know what I think we should do? We had more conversation again. That's what I'm trying to say. I think I looked at stuff on Instagram about I probably looked up like how to live in an RV. I know me.
I'm pretty sure we might have watched some YouTube videos or something. But
it really would be a lot of work. I think, though, it is foreshadowing that like change was coming. But I also think like when you're doing work on yourself individually, like people can learn to think different or start thinking differently. Like even Enneagram 6s like me, or people who have done the same thing their whole life. Like we can change.
Yeah.
But I'm not change oriented, really. So I think the RV life conversation was, especially with a kid too, and just like selling our house. I mean, it just felt, I don't know.
I think too, another thing we're not thinking of is just COVID and you working from home. It was also part of the like, get me out of here. I need some fresh air.
Yeah. Well, go big or stay home.
Yeah.
Like some people might go to the creek to experience nature, but let's just buy an RV. Just do that. And I had just gotten a promotion at work, and I liked my job. So it was just interesting. Maybe we're just dreaming.
Yeah. It's a good escape fantasy.
It's a far stretch. I think I've slept in an RV once in my life on a lesbian campground in the middle of nowhere. And I know I did, because I remember waking up thinking, where are my things? Like I wanted my diet sun drop and like my accoutrements. Is that the word? Like my morning routine. Like you weren't there. But.
No, no. But I think that I recognize that event from some pictures you used to want off Facebook.
Well, yeah, that picture. I had on a Marvin the Martian shirt. And I walked out like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen in the morning when you woke up in an RV, the lesbian campground, that they were going to serve me diet soda and coffee. That didn't happen. But anyway, I really like convenience, I think is the point. And I wish I was more spontaneous. I think maybe a New Year's goal is to be more spontaneous. I think that's a really good idea. And now it's time for an ad break. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch by heading over to According to HPG on Instagram, and be sure to tell your friends about the show. There was a time when I thought I could record, edit, and publish everything myself. Seeing as this left me very little time for anything else, I started to lose the standard of quality I was used to. Then I found Jay. In less than a day, the show went from so-so to amazing. Don't sacrifice quality for mediocrity. Check out the Podcast Mechanic and take your sound to the next level. Connect with Jay today at the Podcast Mechanic on Instagram. Let him know HPG sent you. And now, back to the show. I went to Walmart the other night. That was really spontaneous for me.
There you go. You can do more of that.
Yeah, I think maybe the goal is like a little bit of spontaneity, not like we do this one day, and then the next day we live in a yurt at the lesbian campground. Although there's a lot of value at lesbian campground, and I think we should do that more often.
I'm up for that and for occasional spontaneity.
What would you've lived overseas? I've never lived out of the state. You're way more spontaneous than me.
Yeah, I am. But I also have, it's been 7 years of acculturation or whatever to...
Did I indoctrinate you?
Babe, yeah.
What a way. Why did I pick that word? But I conditioned you to a life of monotony.
I wouldn't say that.
It's not monotonous. What do you think of some of the most random things you've ever heard me say? I know I just put you on the spot. I have a couple.
I mean, this is not what you're asking for, but I remember when you said, if we had servants, I would never leave the house. But
why do you think that's so funny?
It's just so funny because I love to fantasize about winning the lottery, and your lottery fantasies are just buy a big ass house and have Tori Amos play the piano.
For clarity, it's a cottage in England. And Tori Amos plays the piano while we eat brunch on Sunday. Go big or stay home.
Yeah, but it's settle down in a new place is the lottery dream. You know what I mean?
Not a cottage in England where Tori Amos plays the
that's
piano.
what I'm saying. Settle down in the cottage and have that house be where we cottage be where we operate.
Then I might get my soda. If Tori Amos is playing. So I don't know if servant is a nice word or whatever, but if we had staff or whatever. No, and we don't have staff. You're looking at us.
And Tori Amos does not want to come and stay.
I think she does. I'm gonna hold that. I think that famous people want to come play instruments.
Yeah. We'll have to eat cornflakes every day for breakfast.
She could sing Cornflake Girl. That's appropriate.
No more oatmeal. Y'all are cornflake girls.
So I think the point, you're saying, you fantasize about winning the lottery.
Just
where would you live?
Where would I live?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My current lottery fantasy is paying off debt, finding...
Sounds responsible.
Yeah. Finding a home for us that in a place that is probably by a lake. But then I would like to make a organization that has vacation homes for people who can't fucking afford a vacation, because who can anymore?
True.
People who are going through life and need a minute to get away.
Yeah, yours sounds really sweet, and mine sounds really shallow. But I think, I would obviously, I would have to play the lottery to win it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the fantastical thinking of having celebrities play music on Sunday, I just want to know that we would help I would help other people.
Sure, yeah. No, I know.
Part of that. And we probably wouldn't have money long. If this conversation that we're talking about, about our English cottage, I believe you said you would have to put back $1 billion because I would spend it all. And that's 100% fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might go broke pretty quick, but to be debt free is truly the dream. And to own our home outright and maybe replace the Versa with a full size vehicle.
I'm still going to hold on to the English cottage dream just for the sake of dreaming. Or I could learn to play the piano and sing for y'all. Although I can't sing, but it's a thought. It's a little bit more moderate thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
But ever since that day after your mammogram too, I have been doing a lot of lottery fantasizing about what kind of super fancy RV we could have, but I think we might be off topic, but if we had servants, you would never leave the house is that's just
the most random thing
one
I've
of
ever
my
said?
favorites.
Oh, one of your favorite things.
I don't know about the most random.
We'll have to think about that and definitely put that on the list as an episode topic. So I think though, in the wrap up, it's like, obviously go get your mammogram. You're not too busy, just go. And I can tell you from lived experience that it's just more convenient to go. And I do think that like people that are working on themselves and like growing, you do start to think a different way. And then like the weight of other people's opinion starts to fall off. Like, no, I'm not blonde. And yes, I had pink hair. And like we blow up our pool and put it in the front yard. You know, like we're not keeping up with the Jones. I still don't know who the Jones are, but like we ain't doing it. We're not keeping up with them. And like, you know, just thinking and dreaming, I think it's really important.
I think too, like, you know, I know you talked about your motivation for getting your mammogram too, but like, another truth is that life had already got in the way of you scheduling your mammogram. You know, it had been like a year and a couple of months since you had turned 40 and fallen in the category, but like I'm just really thankful that you got it when you did, because it already took for frickin' ever to get your treatment. So and there's that constant fear like that it's just growing, you know, while you're in the holding pattern waiting to like for the diagnostics and the surgery date, and people just get their crap together.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of weight.
So like, just really glad you went on a Friday afternoon over to the doctor's office and got it done, and you know, we're not worse off than.
Yeah, and I think too, like, about the mammogram, people have asked me, like, did you do monthly exams? And to be transparent, no, not consistently. I shouldn't admit that, but you should. Listeners, you should really do that. But mine could not be felt at all, even by the surgeons who did the biopsy. One said, like, I could cheat and tell you where it is because I can feel the track of the biopsy. And that's really scary. So, like, it further shows that, like, they do this for early detection for a reason. You can't always feel it. It's, you know, and I had a pretty significant mass, as it turns out. So you can feel it. So point is, go get your mammograms. If you want to live in an RV, I suggest researching it. And when you sleep in one, they don't serve you coffee or whatever when you wake up. And if you want to live in an English cottage and have staff, I think you should. And maybe listen to Martha a little bit about paying off debt. Might be a little more reasonable. But yeah, well, thanks, babe. Thank you for listening to this episode of Living My Breastless Life. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a review, download, and follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Go get your mammograms.